Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Tiffany Wants to Know About STEM Careers. Tonight, Tiffany is exploring engineering and specifically the area of electronic. We're going to touch on electrical because where I guess works, engineering. So let's get started. First of all, hold on, we got a guest coming in. Let's give you a little bit of background about Palm Street, who is the host of the evening, if you will, where the TurnUps reside. And our mission statement is we create culturally competent learning materials and environments through really K through, oops, sorry, go back. For K plus on up to death, if you will. If you want to learn, we're here for you. For STEAM, which is STEM plus the arts, civic engagement, and workforce education using our characters, the multi-generational turnups who are in back of me. And Tiffany is the curious 11-year-old who wants to explore STEM careers. And in the past, if you've been with us, we've explored computer science. And like I said, tonight we're venturing over into engineering. So I'm excited about that conversation. And so I will have Kiana Cogdale, who is our Director of Creative Content. Got another guest. Director of Creative Content, mean everything creativity. To give you a little background of how this series came to be.
Hello, everybody. This series was kind of a spin out of the work that we did during COVID-19. We did a series of content regarding the creator of the COVID-19 vaccine, which is Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, or also known as Dr. Kizzy. And so because Dr. Kizzy was a Black woman in STEM that was very instrumental in, us getting through the COVID-19 pandemic, we started this series to have her explore other STEM careers that might be out there for her, because she is a young, inquiring mind. And she was very inspired by Dr. Kizzy Corbett. So this is how we came to look at different STEM careers.
Yes, and so like I said, tonight we are venturing over into engineering for the first time. So our guest tonight is Mr. Anthony Williams. And for those of you who are FAMU graduates and alums, he is one of you. So I am excited about that. And sir, you are our first male guest as well, just FYI. So Mr. Williams is a native of Miami, Florida, and he completed his degree in electronic engineering at Florida A&M, and he remained in Tallahassee and was employed by the City of Tallahassee Utilities and has been there for 20 years. So you look young to be there 20 years. But anyway, and he just graduated from the new Public Service Initiative program, which he will tell you a little bit about. So like I said, I'm excited because we have someone in a different field tonight. And before we get, this is the main question that we're getting to. What does an engineering designer do? That is his role at his company. But I want him to tell us the story from high school, maybe even before that, because we only talked a little. It's like your family that you come from. Math is your jam. From I don't know, elementary school to FAMU to the utility company. I don't So I'm gonna hush and I'm gonna stop sharing Tiffany and let you take it away.
Thank you for that introduction. Um, my name is Anthony Williams. I am from Miami, Florida. I went to school at Florida A&M University. I graduated in electronic engineering. I do work for the City of Tallahassee in engineering, which our department is power delivery. So let's wind it all the way back to the beginning. So at birth, no, I'm just playing. So I grew up in Miami. Of course, I grew up from a single family home. Uh, but my mother did have a significant other in the house, probably when I reached about maybe about 8 or 9 years old. As any young man, you don't like it, so you catch an attitude. But I mean, I dealt with it. Um, my father stayed in Miami, but I rarely got a chance to see him. He drove for a bus company in Miami, worked for Miami-Dade. He literally, I found out he literally stayed right around the corner from my grandma, but I rarely got a chance to see him. So, my mama was a single, like I said, a single parent. She worked for the postal service. She was real good in math. She did graduate from Florida A&M in accounting. Uh, my uncle went to Florida A&M. He graduated in electronic engineering, which I'm gonna get to that story. That was mind-boggling. Um, so then I went to a Colate Elementary in Miami. I had a little rough. It was rough down there a little bit, but we we happened to get out. I went to middle school, and while I was growing up, I always was fascinated with electronics. I first dabbled in it when my uncle and them was putting music in their car. So I wouldn't know how to put music in your car. So he wanted, so went outside, looked to see what he did. What was an amp? How do speakers go like that? Okay, and then so as I was growing up, I did run track. I ran track. I played a little football, not that much. I played like flag football and I played a little football, but I was in the band. But I ran track. I did other sports, played baseball, a little baseball. And then that was in middle school. Then I got to high school. So this is where the fun begins. So I got to high school, ninth grade. I got in the band. Had a good time, started to play football a little bit, but I gravitated more towards the band because it was a little bit funner. Back then, the band was popular. Miami bands was that was the hook. You was in the band in Miami. The ladies was looking at you. So of course that's the way I went. So I wanted to be where the ladies was and where the ladies was looking. So um, and then I still dabbled in a little bit with I had uncles. So I didn't have a father figure. I did have my mother significant other. Um, but like you said, it was an up and down relationship. It was a little rocky in the house, or well, shaky in the house, I should say. Um, but I had my uncles. My mother had four brothers, and she had three sisters, not including herself. So it was eight in all. So I gravitate towards my uncle, and I look at that now. Looking back, I took something from each one of them. I had an
Mm-hmm.
uncle that went to school, which was an engineer. He was the intellect. I had one that was into music, in the ladies. I had another one that was the same into music in the ladies, and then they had the flashy cars. They had the '64 Chevy with the rims and the music and this, and then I had the other uncle that was just he was the they say he was the crazy one, but he was fast. He was real fast. He was real popular in school. He had all the ladies and this and that. So I took some of the street knowledge, some of the lady knowledge, and some of the intellect, and I built my own self from each one of them. I was able to take something from each one of them to cultivate into the person I am today. And I still look back and I still get advice from them. I still talk to them. So while I was going through school in the band, I started off, I always wanted to achieve when I was growing up. I didn't want to settle. Only thing I settled for was math in school. I was real good at it. And because I knew I was real good at it, I lackluster with it. So I could walk in there and take the test and make a B straight off the bat. Now my mom was pissed because I wasn't making A's. And because I wasn't making A's, she looked at it and she was like, "You just making crazy mistakes." I said, "Yeah, mama, you're right. But what are we talking about here? I'm passing." So she did not like that attitude. But she really didn't say anything because I kept my grades up. I kept my grades up. I did the courses that I did, and I was upset with her because, of course, in high school, when I was coming through high school, you only needed to take three math courses. So that fourth year, you didn't have to take it. Well, of course, my mama said, "No, you're going to take math." I said, "Well, I worked real hard. I should be able to take off. What are we doing?" She said, "No, you're going to take a math course." I was like, "Oh my goodness, you tripping." And then she put me in calculus. I
Mm.
was like, "Are you crazy?" I was looking like, "Oh my God." She said, "It's going to work out for you in the long run. Trust me." She said, "It's going to benefit you in the long run." I said, "They're going to benefit me now." I said, "This is my senior year. I'm supposed to be relaxing, having fun." She said, "Boy, I'm not trying to hear that." I said, "Okay, cool." So here we go. I go along. So I go through my senior year, took the math. I did have a let do. So I still had my fun. She still let me have fun. So I still did what I needed to do. And here we are, my senior year. So I'm driving now. And here we are with the electronics. Here we go again. So my uncles them have these rims, music, what's it called? I say, "Hey, I want to put some of that in my car." So he said, "Okay, let me teach you." So we went, when he looked at his stuff, we ripped out the car, we looked at everything. And so he said, "You do this, you had the preamp, you had the radio, the amp, and the speaker." So he said, "You have to hook it all up." I said, "Well, how you get the wire from the front to the back to have a hot wire?" He said, "You have to run it through the whole car. You got to run it through the firewall." Me, not knowing nothing about cars, what is a firewall? So he said, "Oh, it's the hole right there, right behind the engine. The stops of stuff." He said, "It's a hole right there. You can go through there." I said, "I can't find a firewall." So I can tell you what, I'm going through the door. So I went through the door. I went, what to call it, went all the way down and went through. So I self-taught myself a little bit because he was at work, but he let me use his car. So I used my uncle cars. I was riding around, going with the girls, had a girlfriend, dude. Oh, I was just balling. So then I that year I got an intern working with Miami International Airport in the tower with the aviation. So I learned a little bit about aviation. So I was like, okay, this is cool. So I was getting paid. I saved my money. I wound up after that, after I graduated and did all that and learned little different things about the music, and then my my mother's son, significant other's son, he was same age. So both of us learned at the same time. So we used to rip out the cars. We had a car we used to play with, so we did all that. And so I saved up my money. So when I saved up my money, I wanted to get my own car. So I got a Nissan Sentra. Still got it to this day. It's sitting in the yard. I got a Nissan Sentra. So I had that car and I wanted to put music in it. I wanted to learn more about electronics. I wanted to learn more about engineering because I really didn't know, even though I went to school and everything like that, I really didn't know about engineering like that. I was mainly looking towards when you going through school, most people, "Oh, you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, this and that." And I was just like, "Oh, well, nobody really never told me about engineering." So I really didn't know what engineering was. But then I wanted to be an architect because I want to build my own things. So that's what I actually went to school to FAMU to do. So in that process, I'm going through life. Um, I was just like any other kid, had a girlfriend, going through life. I wasn't a real bad kid, but I really wasn't a real excellent kid. I was in the middle. I did just enough. My mother, she was real hard. My mother, like I said, my mother worked for the post office. My mother had to come to the school for me at one time, and that was in the second grade. And when she came up to that school, I was talking. That's the last time she had to come up to that school, uh, because when I got home, I got my behind tore up. But she explained to me why she was whooping my behind. She said, as a letter carrier, she said, you know what I have to go through? They have to call the station. My supervisor had to, because you have cell phones back then. So my supervisor had to leave the station, go find my mama on the route, get the mail that she was delivering, finish delivering, come back to the station, and then call to school to find out what was going on. And then she had to come to the school. So that process, she said, I'm not doing it again. So she went in. So I did get in trouble a little bit more, but I was like, beat me, don't call my mama. I said, you can go ahead and just beat me, just don't call my mama. So um, so fast forward then, the next time she came to school, I was graduating high school. She came to my graduation. I had a grandfather figure then, and he was in my life. My daddy wasn't. My grandfather was. My daddy started coming around, maybe my 10th, 11th grade, and I was mainly looking at him for, okay, I need some money because I want to go to the prom. So he wound up doing that, rented my car, gave me money for the prom, did all that. So I was good. And so at that moment, I went to school. I wound up graduating high school. And Miami Central, my class was almost like 800 people, or 600 to 800 people. So in Miami, you have a big class. So I was like 100, and out of the class, I was like 125 or something like that. So I wound up graduated, going to getting accepted to a family. I applied to Tennessee, not Tennessee State, University of Tennessee, Alabama State, FAMU. I thought about University of Miami until I found it was a private college. Um, yes, money. And I, I think that's the only school. I didn't even apply to Florida State. It was mainly schools that was in Tennessee. People thought it was Tennessee State, but no, it was actually University of Tennessee. And
All
so,
architect
go ahead.
at that time, all architect for architect.
Yes,
Okay.
it was architect. Um, so I was applying for different ones, different schools. So I wound up getting into FAMU, but that was a big thing back then to get into FAMU. But I was in school, so I was going to be in 100. So all my friends, they didn't get into FAMU. They went to Alabama State, what's called it. So they found out I was going to FAMU. They jumped back to, well, how you got a FAMU? I didn't know. I applied and they accepted me. I have no idea. So we wound up going, everybody wound up dispersing going to school. In my first year at FAMU, when I met Dr. Foster and Dr. White, uh, when I came up, I was too late for, if anybody know FAMU, if you late doing something, or if you on time doing something, you still maybe messed up. So they didn't have a room for me. I didn't have a dorm room. My mama came up because we had to come early for band camp, for what's called. So my mama had to look around. She couldn't find a place for her. She went to Dr. White. She said, hey, he's gonna have to come back home. We don't have nowhere for him to stay. Dr. White said, wait a minute. Let me see if I can find him something. He owned the place, so it was 3 more other band member students stayed in the place. It was on Kissimmee Street. It was called the Graves Apartments, right down the street. And so I got in there with 2 more other people, 3 more other people. They was all in the band, and that's where we stayed. And it was like, I think my mother had to pay like $100 a month. So she was like, okay, I'm okay with that. I could do that. And so she filled our groceries. My mom was the type, if you rooming with me, she's gonna feed everybody. So she filled the whole refrigerator up with groceries. She went grocery shopping. And from then, when I met everybody was cool. They were like, oh, your mama cool. And so I wound up going there. So I was in the band and I went to architecture. So when I went over there, I was looking for my stuff and they sent my stuff to general studies when it's supposed to be at the architecture school. So the architecture teacher said, well, the the dean said, well, go to general studies and see what's going on. You can still take classes over here. We'll just get you out of it the following semester. Well, that's what we did. I took a class over there and I did that, but I still was taking general studies classes. So my advisor, Miss White, she was like, okay, you can just stay over here. Let's just let you stay over here and we can just figure out what you. She said, you sure you want that? I said, well, yeah. She said, well, there's plenty of other programs here. She said, let's look at your grades and see what you do. So my freshman year, um, I was in the band. I was doing my thing. I had so much fun. We were traveling. What you call it? Like my mama said, I had too much fun because them grades went. I had I did not do good that first semester. So I had like D's and C's. My mama flipped through it.
I know she did. Based on
I
what
was
you
like,
said.
I was like, oh my gosh. She said, what? And I wasn't in the band was paying for, I had a partial scholarship. So the band was paying for half of my schooling, but I didn't want to do concert band. I didn't care for concert band. I love band, but I didn't love it to the fact that I want to be a music major. And so they want you to do concert band. I said, no, I won't do concert band. I started taking something else. Well, they was paying half of my tuition, so I never went to concert band. By the midterm, he gave me an F. I was like, what are you doing? My mama said, what are you doing at school? I was just like, are you sure I went down? I said, are you see? He said, I'll never see you. You never come. I was like, oh my God. So I had to wind up going to that class and he wound up giving me a B. He said, I can't give you an A because you had an F, but you came and you did your thing and then he wound up giving me a B. In my other courses, I had a C. Go ahead.
What's your instrument?
Baritone. I play baritone. It's between a lot of people don't know what it is. It's between a French horn and a trombone. It's like a real small tuba. And so it's more like a melody horn. And so that's what I played. And when I was going through school, after I did that, I stayed in the band. I was going through the motions, going through school. And then I picked it up. I went on academic probation because I didn't know they had such. So I said, academic probation? What? I said, what is going on here? My mama said, yes, you fool. She thought, so what you think this is? This is our play. I was like, I said, okay, my mistake, my mistake. I said we could do better. So I started doing much better. Of course, in the spring we have bands, so I did much better in the spring. Um, so I told my teacher, I said, man, we got to do better. She said, well, you need to come see me doing office hours. So I came to see doing office hours and different little things. So I was taking math classes, statistics. I took a whole bunch of math classes I started taking. So by then, Miss White, my counselor, she said, hey, you got to get up out of general studies. I was almost to 30 hours. She said, you got to get up out of here. She said, what you want to do? She said, you had architecture. I said, well, I don't know if I want to do that no more. She said, well, we got to find you something to do. I said, okay. She said, let me look and see you. She pulled on my transcript. She said, let me look at your grades. She said, oh, you're real good in math. I said, really? She said, yeah, that's your best grades. So I said, she said, let me put you in this engineering, like a fundamentals of engineering. And she said, I'm gonna put you in that class. I'm gonna see how you do. If you do good, that's where you going. So when I went over there, Dr. Chain, I remember having him. So I met everybody. Like, okay. So I started doing, and I started liking it. I said, okay. We did circuits. We started messing around in circuits, different little things. We had labs. I said, okay. I said, this is what I wound up getting a B out the class. She said, that's where you going. So I said, okay. Sound good to me. Sound good to you. Let's all go. So that's where I wound up going. So when I went in there, I was taking the classes and devices and Then I had some issues with not with the grades, but with my financial aid and money issues. So my mother had to wind up paying. So she said, I can't keep this. I got to get a job. She said, we're going to switch you over. You do your financial aid. So something will happen. Financial. I wound up talking to the director. She said, no, we're going to get you your money. She said, so she wound up getting some money. So all the stuff I went for one semester, I went through everything, but none of it counted because all my financial aid was messed up. So I had to retake them classes again. So I wound up taking all the classes again. But and then another year, that year I took the classes and took the other classes. So it pushed me back another semester because when you go into your program, you take the one and then they offer two in the spring. So you don't offer one in the spring. So you're already behind. So you gotta go back and take one again. So at that time I was just like, okay, y'all don't push me back. Well, I need to do something. So I got pushed back and going back and forth, but I was always doing good in school. And then come to find out, the same teachers I didn't know. When I talked to my uncle, he was just like, "Well, what you take?" I said, "Electronic engineering." He told me something. You know, I graduated in that. I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, one of the teachers, Dr. McLeod. I was like, "Are you?" I dropped the pen. I said, "That's my teacher." He said, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah." So he said, "Tell him about Dan Baker." So he went down. He said, "Mr. Williams, Dan Baker, your son? I mean, your uncle?" I said, "Yes." He told me, he said, "I'll be on you now." He
Oh
said, "That was
no.
a real smart group." I was like, "Are you serious?" So I dropped my head. I was like, but I love Mr. McLeod. I love that program because he challenged me. He was the person that when you go, when you in his class, even though you get the problem right, he had me come to the board. He may have something on the board. He may say, "Hey, is that right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think it's right." So I go over there and he said, "What's the answer?" And it goes to ground. I may say zero. He said, He said, "Mr. Williams, is that right?" So you start second guessing yourself. You're like, "Yeah, I think it's right." But he had this voice, "Mr. Williams, is that?" I'm like, "I don't know now. I don't know." So he was just like, so he said, "Mr. Williams, it is right." He said, "But I want you to be confident. I want you to turn around and tell me, yes, that's right. I don't care what you say, it's right." So he built that into me. And when uh, throughout the other courses of class, when I knew I was right, it was on it. They said, "Oh, Anthony's on it now." And so I went through the program. I did have some setbacks, but I loved it. And so how I get to where I'm at today. Um, I was working at Budget Rental Cars. I was working at Winn-Dixie, working to get through school and financial aid. At that time, I wound up meeting my wife, which is my girlfriend back then, but didn't know she was going to be, because of course I still was unsure. She was unsure, but we was friends. So she did, when I first met her, she did say, "Hey," she had a kid. He was 2 years old. She said, "I'm not looking for nothing real serious." She said, "Because I do have somebody. He was in North Dakota. He went to Georgia. He was in North Dakota, played football." And she was like, "I don't know what me and him may transpire." She said, "But we could be friends." I said, "Cool. I could be friends. That's what we doing. I love friends." So we was friends, and then I gravitate towards the kid, and then I helped her out, and she helped me out. She was the person that, because she had a son, so she would cook. When she cooked, she was like, "Hey, you can invite your friends over." Really? So she cooked. She was cooking like she was like my friend said, "Man, you cooking like somebody's mama." She said, "I am somebody's mama." So, so he was like, because he called Shauna Lou. "Shauna, you know what I'm talking about." And so after that, so at that time I was going through school, getting my work, and then I became a senior. And they wanted me. I was a senior. So I had to either intern co-op, do something of that year, or coming into the summer, and then that year. So I said, "Hey," I said, I don't know if I'll be able to do it because I was working 2 jobs. I said, I can't. I said, what do I have to do? He said, well, you can take some courses. And said, it's a probably extra 6 hours. I said, okay, I probably could do that. So I went to my job. I was like, hey, it's possible they have an internship in Gainesville. I may think about going. You think I have my job when I come back? She was like, well, I was working, but he said, no. He said, no, we're not gonna hold a job for you. So you won't be able to do that. So I was making like $6 an hour. I was like, oh shucks. So I said, I went back. I said, well, I ain't gonna be able to do it. So I just take the courses that I need to take. I just had to stay an extra semester. So I laid in the bed. I promise you, God must have woke me up about 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up 3 o'clock in the morning. I was thinking about it. I called my professor. They was leaving 5. I said, you still have room in the van? He said, yes, we do. He said, I said, can I come? He said, you sure can. He said, we're leaving at 5 o'clock. I jumped up, took a shower, put my clothes on because it was just a 1-day trip. Put me a shirt tie on, grabbed my resume, and jetted to the school, jumped in the van. We went to Gainesville. So it was like 6 of us, 7 of us vying for 2 positions. One was in the plant, one was in engineering at their place at GRU. So when I got there, I interviewed. I think I know the interview. The guy liked me. I knew he kind of liked me. And then he said, oh, you was in the band too? I said, yeah. So he said, yeah, they came up here just like you did. He said, I love them. So we just interacted, we talked. So everybody else did the interview. So we came back. When we got back, of course, we didn't know nothing then. So we got back. I just went back to work and we just went on by my business. That had to be like in April. May they called and say my professor called me, Dr. Bellamont. He said, Anthony, they want you. I was like, want who? They were like, GRU. They said they want you there. They want you to call, they want you to stay. I said, okay, cool. I said, oh shucks. I I said, I don't know if I said, I guess. So he said, you everything okay? I said, yeah, just a lot of stuff running through my mind. I gotta find a place. So I wound up telling my supervisor, and he was just like, well, I don't know if we have a place. I said, okay, cool. I said, I got to do what I got to do. I got to go. So I wound up going, went to GRU, had to go find a place. So my mom went up there and she helped me. But it was so happens that we looked in the paper, a dude needed somebody for the summer. I said, when I say all this lined up for me, somebody needed something for the summer and it was like cheap. It was like no more than $200 a month. And so I said, oh, okay, I could do that. So we went. The the job was paying, I was making $6 an hour back then. Well, the internship was paying $12 an hour. I said, oh, I said, that doubled my pay. So I went. So I went in. So when I got there, I got with everybody. I learned everybody. I started doing some of the work. Everybody was friendly. And they had another intern there. He was from UF. And so I took to this guy named Billy. We started working and I started doing calculations. Like everybody, I could go to him and ask him questions. Like I said, I feel like I'm just bugging y'all. He said, no, ask the question. So when we went, I got this, I asked the question, I started doing projects, little projects. So that whole time I went there, I had fun. I learned a whole lot. I learned about GIS system. I learned about AutoCAD. I learned about um, the grid. I learned about calculation. I learned about bringing power to somebody's house. Voltage drop, because I never knew nothing about voltage drop. Flicker. So when the AC come on and it go boom, and come back up. Sometimes that is voltage drop. Flicker. I learned about all that. So I was like, cool. So I'm doing stuff. So Billy, he was showing me. John, he was showing me different things. This guy Kevin Brown. So I'm just working. So I said, hey, give me the project. So I did a whole feeder. I did a feeder, and they was just like, oh. When the guys found out about that, they were like, hey, Anthony. When I went there, I had a cubicle, and then I was doing my work, but I wound up because we was similar to City Hall, that's where their engineering department was. So when people come pay their bills, I could look down over the thing and see the people. So, and they had a conference room right there. So, and then they'd be playing music sometimes to the thing. So when I went in the conference room, I kicked my shoes off. I still do it to this day. I kicked my shoes off, put my feet on the thing, and I just went to work. Go. I had paper right there. So the big boss walked in. So he said, "Hey," he said, "You comfortable?" I said, "Oh, shucks." I said, "Yes." I said, "Yes, sir." So I kind of sat up. He said, "No." He said, "I like that." He said, "You working it out." He said, "You done got comfortable." He said, "But you working." He said, "I see that." He said, "I like that." He said, "What you working on?" I said, "I'm working on his feet." He said, "Okay, keep up the good work." He said, "You can stay relaxed." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So I stayed relaxed, went back to work, started doing the work, learned how to do AutoCAD, learned how to do this. And so by the end of that, at the end, in that moment, I was working 40 hours a week. So they want me to finish up some of the stuff. So I say, "Hey, it may go a little longer." He said, "Oh, you can do all the overtime you want." I backed up, said, "Really?" I said, "Okay." Man, I started working that overtime. My check started looking lovely. I was doing it. So I was like, "Okay, cool." And so they started seeing my work. They were like, the head person called me, one of the head person called me, and he's like, "Hey, you doing work that engineers that been here for 5 to 6 years don't know how to do."
Mm.
I'm looking like, so I had gotten that mindset, like it's just math. I said, "Why they don't know how to do it?" So, everybody just don't know how to click like that. I'm just like, okay. I said, they teach it, all of it just right there. All you just plug it in the equation. So it's right there. But I guess I grasped it, understood it so quickly that I was getting it. So the voltage drop going to somebody's house, I was like, I rebuilt the whole conductor. I was like, this need to upgrade the wiring, do this, boom, 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 change out this pole, do this. So I had a whole feeder. So I did that. And then
Sorry, we need clarification on what a feeder is.
okay, yes. So I will get to that when
Okay.
I get to here. So once I did all that, so when I got ready to leave, they offered me a position, but they wanted me to transfer to UF for that next split. So when I got the offer back then, I think it was they offered me like $50,000. And I was just like, "Oh, I don't know if that's no money," but thinking back then, it was. It was a lot of money. I'm like, "Oh, shucks." So, um, so when I came, so when I came back, I said, so before I came back, we had to do a presentation. Be all the interns, they had like four, had to get up and speak in front of everybody. We were like, "Are you serious? They're gonna have us get up." So I was nervous. Jeremy, my friend, he was in the same program I was in. He said, "Man, you finna go first." I was like, "No, you going first." He was like, "No, you finna go first, man." Bump. He said, "I'm not going up there." So I said, "Bump it, I'll go first." And then the people from UF, they were scared to go up there. So I went up there. I went first. But knowing me, I told a joke first to lighten the load. So, because when I first got there, I said, because of course you don't know around the city. So, my first thing I got there said, "Hey," I said, "I appreciate y'all letting me come to do this intern, and I wasn't using up all your gas. I just ain't know where I was going." So everybody bust out laughing. So I was just, and then I just spoke and told them how my experience was there, and they was just like, my friends came out and said, "Man, you did excellent. Man, what are you talking about?" I said, "I was, but I just had to do something." So before I got ready to leave there, he, my Dave Bolio, I think that was his name. He said, "Where you at?" He said, "You said you was in Tallahassee, right?" I said, "Yes, I was in Tallahassee." He said, "Come see me before you leave." I said, "Okay, cool." So I came to his office. He said, before he said, "Here, I want you to get this to a Brian Fisher. Go to the city of Tallahassee and get this to a Brian Fisher." I said, "Okay." I ain't think nothing of it. Got my stuff. Had my stuff already packed in the car. I had already what's called. So I threw that what's called in my back seat, got in my car, jetted back to Tallahassee to get my life back on track. So I came back, had my school stuff, got everything together. And so when I came back to school, I won't believe it, but when I came back to school, it was my last semester. I took, it was my last semester. I came back, no, fall semester, I took so many hours, like 15. And then the spring semester, I took, I had to take 21 hours to graduate. So
Math
I
classes.
just all engineering, all upper level classes. So then I had to go back and take physics because I missed physics. I took physics 2 and missed physics. So that's the only class I had like just general. But every one of was devices, microprocessing, engineer courses. So when I went, we was up on a program. I went to, I think her name was Dean Thompson. So I said, uh, I said, because if you take more than 18, you have to get permission.
Mm.
So I went to her, I said, hey, I need to take these courses. She said, okay. She said, how many hours you take? I said, hey, let's not talk about that right now. Let's just talk about you just signed off for this course. She said, no, I need to know how many hours you take it. I said, well, let's just say I'm taking 21 hours. She said, no, Mr. Williams. We not been. I said, listen. I said, I'm not gonna take 18 up without your permission. I said, I'm not coming back to school for no 3 hours. You're not gonna hold me back for no 3 hours. We went back and forth. She said, okay, Mr. Williams. She said, this is what I tell you. If you are failing by midterm, I could pull you out some of them classes. I said, agreed. I said, I could agree to that. So she signed off on the paper. So she said, hey, take it to my secretary. So she took it. It was a student, what's it called? So the student gonna talk about some, oh, Mr. Thompson, these are graduate courses. I don't know if I said, she did not ask you to go and look at my stuff. She asked you to sign out, do what you're supposed to do. And I said, it's not a graduate course, it's just upper level courses. That's not graduate courses. So she was just like, oh, I read it wrong. I said, that's what you get for being all in my business. So I wound up doing that. Why I did that, I was working 2 jobs. I was working at Winn-Dixie, budget, took 21 hours, and I was planning for a wedding. So at that time, so my mama said, you're not gonna do that. She said, no, no, sorry. I said, yes. I said, Mom, I'm gonna do it this time. I said, I got to do it. I said, I'm not coming back for no 3 hours. So she said, okay. Little to say, I was busting my behind. I was grinding. When I got to midterms, I was sweating because I had literally all C's. I had all C's. So I said, I got to do better. I was still working at budget and I was working at Winn-Dixie. I looked back, right one day, I passed by the City of Tallahassee. I looked back and I saw the letter in my back seat. I said, I turned around, came here, and another young lady, black lady, she said, I said, well, is Brian Fisher here? She looked at me, she said, what do you see? I said, I got this recommendation that she said, hold on. She said, I'm gonna find him for you. So I said, okay, cool. Her name was Priscilla. She found him. She said, oh yes, I'm gonna find him for you. So she went, she found him. She said, okay, now you come. He's here. You come see him. So I went to go see him. I didn't. The letter was sealed, so I never opened it. I just handed it to him. He unsealed it. I said, Dave Butler told me to give you this. He unsealed the letter. He looked at it. He looked back up at me. He read it, looked at it, looked back up at it. He said, when you can start? I said, start what? He said, start here. I said, are you serious? So he said, yes. So he called Bill Jacobs over in his office. He said, hey, Bill, this young man gonna be working with you. He said, just give me your schedule that you're gonna work. He said, I know you're in school. He said, but I prefer you to work at least more than 2 hours. You can come back and forth, but I need you to work more than 2 hours a day. I mean, more than 2 hours a session. So I said, oh, I could do that. That's no problem. And so I got ready to leave. So I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I appreciate everything, but how much you how much you get paid?" So he was like, "Oh," he said, "Yeah." He said, "How much they was paying you?" I told him. He said, "We'll just give you the same thing." I said, "Dang, I should have said more." So he was just like, but I was grateful because I was still making $6 at budget, 625. So he just doubled my pay. And then when I came on, I worked. I wound up letting Winn Dixie go. Then half of the time I was work, I didn't need to work at budget no more. I could study a little bit more. So I worked that budget a little bit because I still was able to study at budget because I was just driving cars back and forth. So after a while, I wound up letting budget go. And I was just working here. Then they was giving me hours, and the person I worked with, he worked real late. So giving me hours, I was like, cool. So I'm just on feeding, working. And at that time, City of Tallahassee was a little bit behind GRU as far as technology wise. So a lot of stuff they were still hand drawn, but they had the system there, so they had AutoCAD. I said, well, why are we not doing AutoCAD? Well, only one person went to school. I said, well, I went to school for AutoCAD. How are we going to do it on AutoCAD? So we started working stuff. So we started working on AutoCAD. So we did it on AutoCAD. So Bill was looking like Bill Jacobs. He was an older guy. So he was looking at the screen. He was like, wow. He said, you doing it just that fast? I said, yes. That's called technology, Bill. Come on. I said, he said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll let you do all my drawings. And I said, that's cool with me. So I learned how to do a lot of stuff at GRUs, and I brought this to the Tallahassee. And then by the time I got ready to graduate, I graduated. I didn't know my supervisor, big boss, he came to my graduation. I didn't know. And then after I graduated, I still was working here. A position came open. I applied. I wound up getting the position. It wasn't the money that GRU was paying me. So I realized then that they was paying me a lot of money. But GRU was gonna offer me a lot of money. So I wound up getting here. So when I got on here, they pulled me back and I was doing a lot of area like street lights. So then I started learning about the overhead lines, underground lines, which I already knew about, but I started learning their systems. So when I'm saying when I look at it, when you say a line or overhead or grid or a section, we're talking about the overhead lines that you see throughout the city of Tallahassee. So you have a block, you have a sections, you have how people want to say it. You have primary lines, which is the bit wires, and you have the secondary lines, which is the one that goes to your house. So we have step down. So you got high voltage lines, then you have the step down, which is the secondary. So that's what we have transformers for that. So the transformers you see, you have some underground transformers, then you have some overhead. That's a little round, little cylinder circles that you see on the pole that step down the power so they can go into your house. Without that, and you go straight into your house, it will blow up everything in your all the sockets. So yes. So you have 122.4 that goes into your house. If you're using the overhead lines and you don't have nothing to step it down to just go straight into it, it will fry everything that's in there. So that's what we call transformers. We have transformers, we have poles, we have insulators, we have overhead lines, and we have the big lines where you see on the highways, we call transmission lines. That connects our grid from all the way from Florida, all the way to Louisiana, to different places. Only one have their own grid that doesn't connect to anybody's Texas. They want they want to do things big on their own. So
And
let's
didn't
say,
they go down?
excuse me.
Didn't they go down
Yes.
in the
And
work?
that's when they light bill went up and they had all kind of problems. So like when you see with us, if something goes down and we still have the transmission lines here, we could buy power. So if our plant goes down, we could buy power from Jacksonville, JUA, anybody, and they could send the power here and they could still keep y'all on. So we buy power and sell power throughout all the time, but y'all never know. We may lose a transformer or megawatts or this and that, and something may go down, but y'all lights are still on because we have a 24-hour center here, which is called a control center. They're looking at the grids, they're looking at something may go down, they just switch it. They just start asking, they buy power from different locations, and we get power to keep the stuff going to be able to repair. And we also have, which what I do is, let's get into what I do. I do the transmission. We have transmission, then we have distribution. My portion is engineer design and distribution. So a subdivision come into play. A Walmart getting built, uh, Kentucky Fried Chicken, anybody. So I do. They send me a layout of the building. They send me a schematic of the building. They send me a Rouser diagram. Rouser diagram is how much power they are asking us for. So for that, I do the layout. I do the construction plans. I calculate the power, the transformer that's going to go there to serve that building. So when I do that, I do the calculations, I do the construction, I put together construction manual, I put together um, construction for our crews downstairs, and I put together construction crews for our contractor. So we have to put conduit in the ground or overhead. So when we do conduit, we give it to a construction. So I get them construction plans. I become the project manager. I maintain it from the top to the bottom. So I go out there and look. We may have problems. I say, hey, we got to be 48 inches beneath. We can't be any further. We got to be 4 feet in the ground, this and that. So we go, we need two 6-inch conduits, two 4-inch conduits, one 2-inch conduits. And I go, we look, everything's good. Okay, close it up in the ground, stub it up. Everything's good. So we put pads down, we get it all neat and together. After that portion is finished, I come back up here. I finish out my design, put it into Designer, which is called GIS system, which shows all our grid, shows everything. And I use AutoCAD, and then uh, I create a budget. So I have a budget for the whole problem. So I'm watching the budget. So watching the budget when the crews go down, watching the budget when the equits go down, or different little contractors that we have. We may have all Florida, may have different little contractors. So once all that is done, I look at their budget, they spent this money. So I say, okay, I'm like a project I'm going to work on now. It's $2.5 million that we're starting off with. So I may start looking at that budget. Okay, y'all spent $250,000 here. That's fine. So then I give it to our crews. Our crews, City of Tallahassee crews, want to install the transformer, pull all the wire in, make it up in the transformer, set it up, get everything good, and make it hot. Seal everything up, and we're good to go. Now the power's sitting there, it's just waiting on the builder to finish building what they're building. And once they finish building, they get their service, they get their wire, bring it to the transformer or the pedestal. And then when they're ready, we come back out and we connect it up, and voila, they got power. So that is really the process. And then they also get a meter put in. So they get a meter put in, that's where we start charging them. Let's go, let's get them dollars. So that's one of my process, like Kentucky Fried. A subdivision I do, like right now I'm working on one in, I guess, the Canopy areas. It's off of Walani Boulevard. We got 150 houses goes in there. So I got to do a whole grid design to put transformers in there and secondary wire, primary wire. So I get a whole layout of the subdivision. So I got to balance the load. So when I say balance the load, we have A, B, and C phase. We call it a three-phase system. We have a three-phase system. So for instance, I'm gonna say, I want to tell you, you have 3 cups of water. So you don't want to overfill this water and then half fill that one, and this one is very low. So you want to try to balance everything, so everything be even. So that's when we have 3 phases. So take that into consideration. I'm bringing 3 phases in there. So I won't hook up everything to one phase and overload this cup that is the water's about to spill out or can't handle it. So we don't want the water to everything start pouring in this one and then just start spilling over and the wires burn up and nothing can handle it. So I want to balance out the load. So that's what I do. So I do a design to balance out the load. So once I balance out the load, I do exactly what I did. I get a budget together, get my drawings, get the underground system put in. Once I get the underground system put in, I go back, I get with our foremans downstairs. They go out and say, Anthony, you ready? I said, yes, I'm ready. We're gonna get a crew out there. I said, yes. Sometimes it may take them 2 days to do, sometimes it may take them a week, sometimes it may take them a day. But we do all kind of stuff here. We do area lights. Area lights is something that um, anybody on this call could call and say, hey, I went to City of Tallahassee. I would like an area light put on this y'all City of Tallahassee pole. It's something you have to pay for, but we'll come out and provide that for you because some people want to light up their yard or anything. So that's the minor things that we do. We'll go out there, provide the area light for them, get a form, get that taken care of. Then we come back, send a crew out there, get an area light. And there you have area lights. We have street lights. Now that's a little bit more difficult because we put it into this system and then we formulate a spectrum for lighting up the road. People get street lights, I guess, when we light up street lights, we have to tell them all the time. They're like, where's dark over here? Well, where's the dark at, man? When I come out my yard, I can't see. I said, it's not a light for your yard, it's a light for the street. It lights up the street. So the main focus is for us lighting up the street. So we get people all the time say, well, it's dark. Wait, I can't see when I come out my house. And respectfully, we tell them, hey, turn on your light, turn on your porch light. The street light is not for you to light up your yard. We can't provide that to you at a cost, but it's not for you to light up your yard. It's for the street. And that is the main purpose. So we buy lights so it doesn't illuminate into people's yards because some people don't want the light illuminated in the yard. We want to focus on the street. And so that's why we have street lights. But for some reason, people try to look at street light as their yard light, but it's not. So when you ride down the street and you're looking up at the street and you have the street lights, taking into consideration the street lights is just mainly for the street lights. And so we do have subdivisions that have they are private. Like you have some subdivisions in Kalon area, you have some subdivisions in some of the different areas that a homeowner association is paying for, or an individual is paying for, and then we get a call when they say, hey, we need a street light here. And we're like, well, you're on a private road. They were like, no, we in the city limits. Yes, you are in the city limits, but that's a private road. And so that's a misconception people have sometimes. They think because they're in city limits that everything's just city. It's not. Some of the roads that you go on are private roads. If you go down your driveway or you go on the back alleyways, that's private roads. Some stuff are county roads. It's not in the city. Even though it's in the city limits, it's still a county road. Like St. Augustine, it's a county road. It's still in city limits, it's county. So county doesn't light up their road like that. So you will see them like, why we ain't got no lights over here? Well, the county don't want to pay for one. Well, man, I pay the city of Tallahassee. Yes, you do. You pay the city of Tallahassee for the utilities that you have at your house. So, so we do get that, but the main purpose is just lighten up the city streets. But engineering is it's an up and down career. You have different engineers. You have civil, you have construction, you have computer, you have electronics. So to come back to mine, the main focus of mine was I could branch out to different ones. I could have went computer, I could have went Um, I could have went design, and I could have went to somewhere like a defense system like Lockheed Martin. Mainly people with my degree work for like defense system, Lockheed Martin. They build missiles, they build this and that because we do the practical and we do hands-on and we do the theory. So we do both. In my field of electronics, you do both. So we may go in the classroom and then we may go to the lab and we put it all together. Electrical engineer, they do mainly theory. So uh, for example, we had when I was in physics too, me and my friend was in there, we was in electronics, so we had electrical engineering in the class. It was some electrical engineers, electronic engineers. So when we got ready to do this lab work, we did the course and we got ready to do the lab. Well, they had to put together a circuit. Well, we looked at the circuit, we were like, this is what we do. So they were just like, the teacher said, well, when y'all finish the circuit, y'all can leave. And so it was some ladies in there. They were looking at the electrical engineer, we were looking at the electronic engineer. We were like, well, who you gonna go with? We was just like, we were like, well, we'll be finished in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. They were like, what? No, you won't. And the electrical engineer was like, no, you can't do it. I said, bro, this is what we do in class. This is nothing to us. So he was just like, oh, okay, we'll see. And my friend, we put together that circuit in 5 minutes, got the readings, boom, boom, and we were done. Them girls looked up and said, we going with them. So we put together that circuit. I promise you, the lab is like maybe maybe an hour and a half. We was out of there less than 10 minutes. And they were still in there. We kind of found out they were still in there for a whole hour trying to put together that circuit. And they came back to us. They were just like, well, how did y'all do it so fast? We was like, listen, we get the theory and we do the practical. We had to put together circuits. This is what we do. We build. If we have a calculator, we could take that calculator apart, look at all of the circuits and components, and that's what we do. We put it together. So in my field, we have breadboards, and we take them little itty bitty circuits, hook them up. Like in my field, I had to build almost like a clock, but I had to build it with what's called. So you had the OR gates, AND gates, and different circuits that maybe y'all don't understand, but we put that together, and the outcome we had to put it on the thing, and it would start working like a clock. And so, and we did add or subtract like a calculator. So, and then the elevator, we did like my senior project was a shockers shockers. Like when you riding in the car and you bouncing, if if my senior project, it sends a message to the computer that okay, this car is finna get ready to level off and bounce. So it's called shock absorbers. So that was my senior project. So I did something like that. So it was more practical. So engineering, like you got your civil ones, like my other friend, I mean, he making real good money. So they do the bridges, roads, and stuff like that. Um, they do real good. Well, he's doing real good. I ain't gonna say everybody doing real good, but he's doing real good. It made me think twice about me going to electronic, but looking at it, if you go private, you can make plenty of money. If you go with municipal pilot like I am, you can make good money, but it's more money in the private sector, but you more easy to get let go in the private sector too. So it just all depends. But engineering, it's my life. It was a doozy. It was up and down. I I tried my best to make an example for my kids, to do the right thing for my kids, my wife, different things. So I work hard, even during the storm. Like we worked. I did. My total hours for the storm was 207 hours. Yes. So we worked during the storm. We worked day and night trying to get power back on. And for me, for engineers during the storm, we more like we go ahead of the crews, see what's knocked down, see if they need a pole replaced, see the insulators, transformers, and we write it down. And then we send it back to control the center here, and they disperse our crews, and they work on the crews and they building it. They constantly building stuff back. So we work day and night doing that. So and then you know you get people, oh, my power such. I was like, listen, I'm out here trying to get your power. My power's still off. So while I'm getting your power on, I'm going home taking a cold shower, then have to get back up and try to get your power back on before I can even look at my power. So my life with engineering, it was fun. I love what I do here. I'm hoping to become a manager soon. I don't know, but who knows what God got in store for me. But the life as an engineer is pretty fun. You got to know your math. You got to do a little math.
That's been
Um,
the common theme, I think, with the
yes,
because you said you could have pivoted a couple of places, but the
yes.
baseline is math.
The baseline is math. So you got, but it's a lot. It's a lot of computers and a lot of documents, a lot of things out there that help you along the way. That is, it's really not that complicated like it used to be. But I still like to have the basics.
Yes.
I like to know how to do. I don't need a calculator to tell me how to do 2 plus 2. I need to know how to get to 2 plus 2, just in case that calculator don't work. I like to have the fundamentals.
Ooh, I need you to repeat that again in the age of AI and
Yo, yes,
ChatGPT, where you can use that to program with.
yes,
However, you need to know your craft because those systems will hallucinate, and boys and girls go look that up. It means the system will lie to you, it'll start making stuff up.
yes,
So,
it will. Yes, it will. You got to
but
know how to.
knowing your craft.
You
Thank
got
you.
to know your craft. Got to know how to do the fundamentals. If something goes down, you got to be able to revert back to your fundamentals and learn how to do it yourself. Like here, when I'm doing some calculations, I do it 4 or 5 different ways. I may do when I look at we have to do we have to do fault current for some contractors sometimes. Now fault current that's going into that what the transformer could the fault that it could handle. And so when we're doing the calculation, yes, we have a computer here that'll do it for us. We plug it in, but I also do it. I also hand do it. Also, I may do the hand calculations of that fault current just to see if my is on the same path with the computer, and most likely it's pretty much dead on. But if the computer go down, if I'm in the field, like we be in the field a lot of times, and a crew may call me and say, "Hey, Anthony, this fuse blew. What I need to put back here? Hold on, give me a minute." Most people may have to run back. I mean, we have a system here that tell you what was there before, but we have to look down the line and see, okay, what fuse is this? Because you don't want to put a fuse there, a bigger fuse, and a fuse down the line is a smaller fuse, and it bypasses that, and it doesn't blow. So, at your house, you may something may happen, or a tree may snap on there, and that fuse doesn't pop, and that wire is still hot on the ground, and that's because of safety issue. So the main thing with our fuses, we have protection system. If anything like that snaps, it automatically cuts the power for that wire that's down. Now it doesn't happen all the time. The wire still may be hot. That's why when we tell different people when storm is out, stay back. Please don't walk up to the wire. Please don't try to walk around the wire. Please don't think the wire is just dead. Just assume every wire is hot. Um,
Yes.
don't go out there trying to pull on the wire and do all this other stuff. Just
Hair
assume that it's hot.
can't,
Because
boys and girls. Yes.
yes, because when you're out there, when that boat has hit you, most likely you ain't coming home.
Unforgiving.
Yes, it's unforgiving. But I enjoyed my time. I hope I
Yes.
answered
Thank
a
you
lot of questions. I
so
hope everybody
much.
had a good
I
time.
look, I don't have any questions, Kiana. You got any questions? There is one thing that you shared with us
Mhm.
that ties in our STEM and civic engagement. You work for the city of Tallahassee, and you shared with us that they give you election day off.
Yes, You're absolutely correct. This year we didn't have,
Engagement. Okay.
yes, this year we didn't have Juneteenth. Well, I don't know if we ever get Juneteenth off, but we didn't have Juneteenth. But they do give us election day off every time this is an election year. So it rotates. So this year we have election day off. And that's what the city of Tallahassee provided. So everybody need to get out there and vote. Because especially if you work for the city of Tallahassee, you have no excuse. Because you had the day off.
There you go.
Get your butt up like you going to work and go vote, and then you can go back home.
And the distinction, we want to make that distinction, the city of Tallahassee, that's city level government, there's
Yes,
county level government, and there's state level government
you're absolutely correct.
not give their employees the day off. So
Yes.
I make that distinction.
Hmm.
Well,
A news
they don't give you the whole day, but state agencies, you can use administrative leave. So you basically have to get approved to be off for a couple of hours to go vote. So I have seen that, but you don't get the whole day.
and you have to request administrative leave.
You have to request it. Yes.
Okay, sir, you are just, you know that you're off that day, period. Am
Yes,
I?
we are definitely off.
Okay,
Yes.
I just had to get that plug in for democracy. No shade.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. No,
Yeah.
this has been great. Your journey is amazing. The mathematical connection throughout it, even though, look, a strong mother in your life
Yes.
because you had a talent, but talent is not enough.
That's correct.
Discipline. I don't know if I would have made it if I had to take those courses over and over again. As somebody, I'm just gonna say,
Listen,
just,
that would have took me right on out. Like
Was-
y'all got it.
Yeah, I was determined. I
take
was
statistics, but ooh wee, if I had to take those courses over and over again. But perseverance, you have
yes.
persevered.
I persevered through it and I had to get it done. I was that far, so it wasn't really turning around. I didn't at that time I didn't want to go back to Miami.
Mm.
If I was going back to Miami, I would want to live on the outskirts. So I know I was looking at the time trying to squeeze everything in. So um, I literally was in Miami. To tell this quick story, I was in Miami. I was working over the summer and I was working at a flour warehouse and Burger King, trying to make money to get back to school because I didn't want to just stay down there and not do anything. So I worked my behind off, worked that night in a flower warehouse of freezing cold. It's when I say flowers, it's like roses and stuff. So we stack the pallets and then in the morning I go to Burger King, open up, and then I may go home and get probably about a couple hours of sleep. But at that moment I'm looking and I stop and I'm looking like I can't do this for the rest of my life. I got to do something else. And I always used to tell my mama that I was adopted because I feel like I should be rich. Why are you not rich? So she told us, so well, you can get us there. How about that? I said, well, I'm gonna try. I said, and then we'll go from there. But now I'm passing it on to my kids. I do have a son that's going to Emory Riddle, going to be a pilot.
Oh,
So yes.
mm-mm.
He have his private license. He just got him. Now he's working for his instrumentation and commercial next. So and he's taking aeronautical science. So
Bravo, sir. Oh my
yes.
gosh. So I'm impressed. So we thank everyone for coming. I'm gonna Kiana, I don't know if I have the power. Yes.
Got a hand wave.
That's a
Oh,
hand.
she's clapping.
Oh, that's a hand clap. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Kiana, can you stop the recording or give me host?
Yeah, I think so. I have a stop.
Okay.